It started with the idea that I wanted to start a food concept somewhere within the St. Pete area. And I eventually started a brand called Serious Foodie, and I needed a commercial kitchen. And after hunting around, I found the best commercial kitchen in the whole area, which was Kristin's up in Tampa. So we go to Kristin to get our license in order to produce Serious Foodie products. But Kristin and I started to talk about what our dreams and goals and aspirations were for the community. And we were completely aligned.
Hello, you beautiful people. It's Ryan Bogdan with Talkin St. Pete. I have two awesome guests today, and I can't wait to jump into their story and what they're doing here in the local area. But before that, I want to let you know that this podcast is sponsored by Bogdan Homes. So if you know anyone looking to buy, sell, or invest here in the greater Tampa Bay area, please find our contact information in the description below. And now I have Kristin and Jim, managing partners of Foodie Labs here in St. Pete. They are doing an amazing thing for the entrepreneurial world here in St. Pete. Kristin and Jim, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, so excited.
Cool.
So, high level, before we dive in, what is Foodie Labs? Who wants to go?
Restaurant incubator.
Restaurant incubator.
Yes.
Okay. What does that mean?
That means that anybody that is looking to go into a brick and mortar, this is a stepping stone for them. So instead of stepping directly into a brick and mortar, that's a 5 to 10 year commercial lease commitment, building out, buying equipment, all of that stuff that goes with it, along with permitting, which is no fun. With us, they do 1 year at a time. We provide all the equipment, all the utilities, and we have a built-in mentorship program to help them through the speed bumps. So at the end of that 12 months or 24 months or 36 months, whatever they choose, they're ready to go step into a brick and mortar, and we're actually turning out a better tenant.
That is incredible and such a great idea, which I want to find out how that came to be, because I did a little research ahead of time and found out that most 20% of restaurants fail within the first year.
Correct.
Another 40% fail within 3 years. So that's only a 40% success rate after 3 years. And you guys are creating an environment to mitigate that risk.
Right.
And we've found that there are multiple ways that people fail, right? Sometimes people make great food but don't know how to price themselves. So essentially they're losing on every plate of food they sell. Or they go in and they don't understand their audience. We've seen a lot of examples in town here where a place will open and they just don't understand how their food's going to play to the great audience in St. Pete.
Yeah, that's super important. Know your market, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Know your demographics.
And then the business part is huge. So, there can be amazing chefs out there that have honed in on their craft and, whatever they're putting out there, but the business side is just not there. And so there's not really any place other than going to like a business coach, which you pay for and, have on board. We're kind of built it into our own structure within the kitchen.
And that's really awesome. Yeah, they might be good in the kitchen, but not know their cost of goods and how to do accounting. That's a totally different skill.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and you guys opened in December.
Right.
Okay. And how many incubator concepts do you have at the moment?
Well, we have 7 incubator kitchens.
Oh.
And we actually have right now 7 concepts going.
Okay, cool.
So the concepts go from, some really interesting food producers. We just brought in a Cuban couple with a brand called Apple Lulu. They're fantastic, and they create a lot of excitement, especially when they bring their music out when they're cooking. And we have a Moroccan French chef with a concept called Cybele. We have a vegan restaurant, a vegan concept there. And then we have Shaner's, which is a well-known name in St. Pete, as well as some dessert concepts. And we have a coffee concept coming in soon. So
Bagel Babe.
Can't forget Bagel Babe. She's our star. Yeah.
Bagel Babe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's phenomenal. That's so cool. I love the idea. So let's go back a little bit of history maybe on each of you and how did this idea come to life?
So let me start because it started with the idea that I wanted to start a food concept somewhere within the St. Pete area. And I eventually started a brand called Serious Foodie, and I needed a commercial kitchen. And after hunting around, I found the best commercial kitchen in the whole area, which was Kristin's up in Tampa. So we go to Kristin to get our license in order to produce Serious Foodie products. But Kristin and I started to talk about what our dreams and goals and aspirations were for the community. And we were completely aligned. I mean, we wanted to create something so that foodie entrepreneurs had someplace to go and grow. It took about 5 years of that relationship and talking to finally go ahead and dive in the deep end of the pool and build the Foodie Labs in St. Pete. So I had a dream and a goal, and it turned out that was exactly the same as Kristin's. We were completely aligned. And I don't come from the food industry, incidentally. So I come from the biotech industry. And so I needed a lot of mentorship on how to build a brand and how to understand the food concept. So that was very important for me.
And all my background is food. So 26 years of catering. I opened my own catering space, my own catering kitchen, closed that catering kitchen, and then opened up the shared space. And without even really intending to do it, I found that my niche was talking through all those speed bumps and all the little things that happen to small businesses because I was there. So that became kind of my gold star with my kitchen in Tampa. I've been there for 10 years, but I am a St. Pete girl. I live in St. Pete, and I've been here since I was 8 years old. So obviously coming back to St. Pete was ultimately what I wanted to do. In 2015, when I opened the kitchen in Tampa, that was the food scene. It was not in St. Pete yet, but obviously it's here now. So, just really honing in on like Jim said, what we both wanted to bring to this area. And then really, I guess, just bringing it to opening day. It's pretty cool.
That is,
Yeah.
It's really cool to see the two dreams and visions come together and now create this space to where entrepreneurs can thrive. So, Jim, how did you want to, coming from a biotech space into, okay, now I'm going to go into food? What was that connection?
So I have a family of foodies. And like the first thing we do when we travel is we look for the restaurants first. So I sat down with my kids. I've got 2 kids, and they both said, well, okay, Dad, what do you want to do? Do you want to create a brand? Do you want to go into a restaurant? I knew I didn't want to be a restaurateur. That was pretty easy choice. And then after starting to talk about it, the idea of a mentorship, and biotech and the academic world was part of me for 30 years. And I felt like it was more important for me to pass on some of the knowledge that I have around creating businesses and striving towards a bigger goal for a career. I see a lot of people in the food business that go out there and they're just making a salary. I see fewer people that are actually making careers. And a career means that you're making enough money, but you're also very satisfied in the product that you're producing. And I see a lot of people stumble on that personal mission. So again, I think that's where we were completely aligned, that we really wanted to make it a part of our mission so that we can transfer that excitement and that passion to somebody who wants to create a career in the food industry.
Kristin, what do you see being the maybe top 3 to 5 mistakes that new chefs or restaurateurs getting into this space are making?
I think the biggest one, without a doubt, is not allowing someone to help. In this industry, you typically are not going to have a restaurateur, right next door saying, "Hey, this is how it worked well for us, and this is why we closed, or this is why we've been successful." So it's very important within our space to take what we're giving, and not everybody takes it. So some people might come in and just have they have a goal, and it's great. They have their goal set, but they're not taking a lot of the help along the way. And we know what we're doing. So that's probably a big frustration for us, but also a mistake. The other part is creating without they're not working backwards. So they kind of need to set their pricing and then work back and make sure it works going forward and backwards. Because a lot of things can be added, and it's to something to make it what they ultimately want it to appear, or to the customer, the end all. But they're not counting each one of those items in, so their cost of goods is way off.
So they don't even know if they're making money.
Right. And then probably the third one, which I think is really, really important, is that they automatically think they need to hire people. And that's that kind of that ego mentality of like, it's my business, I'm going to hire people. And ultimately, the most successful people in any business, not just hospitality, are the ones that get in there and do the dirty work themselves until they get to the point where they can actually truly bring on somebody. Because if their employees are what's taking them down on the profit, then they're really just never going to get ahead of themselves.
So true.
I agree with that. So what's the onboarding process like to be a concept at Foodie Labs? Because to me, there has to be an alignment in understanding their goals, and are they coachable and things like that as you bring
We do
people
have an
in.
application process, so it's very important to us that we don't cross over the concepts, so they're not competing within. So obviously there's applications out there for similar concepts we already have, but we're always looking for more applicants so that we can change it up as leases expire. And then within our own business, we've learned to refine our process for interviewing and kind of getting a little bit deeper into their background and their financial state as well before bringing them on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm just thrilled that this exists, because the worst thing you can see is a new restaurant that opens and 6
and
months
this
later
is
it
12
closes.
months, so it's kind of like anything. I mean, I think anything that you're trying to give it just a 12-month period of time that's an easy win-win.
Yeah, for sure.
If it doesn't work at the end of 12 months, you step out and you have way less, on your plate. So
tell us about maybe some of the concepts that you have in there, how you've maybe helped them pivot or they've changed. Has that happened with anyone where they came in thinking they were going to do this and now they're doing something a little bit different?
Almost everybody except Bagel Babe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bagel Babe knew that she wanted to make the best bagels, south of New Jersey.
Right.
Came from New Jersey, was really nostalgic.
There's
Well,
something about that. There's
Yeah.
the Northeast bagels, the pizza, the bread up there,
It's exactly
Yeah.
it. So she brought that concept down and made all the right steps. So she was able to do social media. She got influencers, and she makes a fantastic product.
yeah.
So that was our easy one.
And I think she, even with us in there every day, we're seeing different things that we can suggest to her. So, she brought up one time that, hey, as we're getting busier and busier and busier, our little stream here is not working. What can I do to make this more efficient? So we kind of stepped into the space, being an outside. If she's doing it every day, it's hard to see something different. So we kind of stepped in and said, what about this? And kind of helped her rework a little bit. And it seemed to work for now. And then as she gets busier, she'll probably have to rework it a few times. And I think that's a lot of everybody in the kitchen has that experience, that, if you're just starting out and you have a few orders, it's one thing. But once you start cranking, it's definitely changes your perspective on, is this organized the right way? Is it,
most
set up the
efficient,
most efficient way? Yeah.
And I think we also brought in the fact that, bagels, a lot of people think bagels are only for breakfast. So they started to bring in some lunch concepts, and they're fantastic. They really have done a great job with understanding their audience. So everything they put on the menu is successful at this point.
That's awesome.
So they pivoted a little bit there.
We were bringing them today, but they're closed. So
I
we'll bring
know.
them back. We'll bring
you-
them back to you.
Yeah.
You'll get some bagels.
Oh
soon.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that. No worries. What a cool thing for you guys to have those places there and work there, and you get to try all the things,
no.
right? Yeah.
It's dangerous sometimes.
Yeah. What do you think? Where do you think the food scene is going in St. Pete? Like, you guys are now at this early stage with these concepts, and I'm sure
Good question.
as people are coming in, you're looking at, well, does your concept fit yet within this, but in the greater St. Pete area?
There's still literally an appetite for the straightforward foods that are done well. Everybody likes a good burger. Everybody likes a good piece of pizza. So that's okay, but we're looking for things that are a little bit elevated. So can you come in and make a different form of pizza? Like, for instance, we have Pizza 2.0 that focuses on Roman pizza, and hardly anybody knows about it here in the States.
What's Roman pizza?
Well, it's a square pie that's made almost focaccia style, and the ingredients are a little bit more simple, but yet you make the ingredients sing. So the best tomato sauce, the best cheese, and then maybe you put a couple of artisan sausages on it or something that.
Got it.
Yeah. And so I think the direction in St. Pete is people are always looking for elevated food. And then eventually you start seeing on the edges regional cuisines. You know, the idea of, okay, there's somebody that's making Sicilian food, somebody who's making, I don't know, Malaysian food. I mean, you see this in other cities that are like St. Pete with a younger and younger audience and an interest in what the global food scene is about.
I agree with that. Yeah, what it's just interesting to think about the food scene. One, because on this show we always ask people like their favorite spot to eat, right? So we'll get to that in a minute. But just thinking as early stages of these concepts that you're churning out. So what's the vision 3 years from now for Foodie Labs? Is there more space to have more than? Can you have more than 7 concepts now, or is that kind of where you're maxed out?
So we have the 7 concepts in our kitchen incubator space, our restaurant incubator space, but we also have shared workspace as well. So caterers, bakers, food trucks, beverage companies, they can come in and use our space for, basically whenever they need it. They just book their time. It's open 24 hours a day. So that's another component of the business, so that we're kind of growing that fresh new entrepreneur that's a baker that's going out to the markets and things like that, that maybe they'll step into one of the other spaces or they'll go straight into their own space. So we do have that. We are looking to merge my kitchen in Tampa and the kitchen in St. Pete at some point, where we will have a Foodie Labs Tampa, and then that will give us an opportunity to house more. And actually, it can be part of the growth from the people that are already in St. Pete. So instead of them necessarily leaving our kitchen and going directly into their brick and mortar, if they're right in between and they feel like they need a little bit more time, but they want to expand, they can be, like Bagel Babe could be located in downtown St. Pete and also in South Tampa.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
That's
to grow with us.
Yeah, it makes sense. And Tampa, what a different market.
Yes,
So
very
it's
different.
good. And I feel like that's what I've spoken to enough business owners now. We're like, oh yeah, I got my St. Pete location. Now we're going to expand to Tampa.
It's a very different.
Be careful.
Yeah,
be careful.
Yeah.
It's different.
Indeed.
It's different across that bridge.
Yes. Yeah. In so many aspects.
There's also another aspect of what we do. We also have the ability to do pop-ups, and that pop-up could be, as like a pop-up restaurant. So it could be a week or 2 weeks. Somebody's coming in and wants to improve their brand or test out a menu. That can happen. Or somebody who comes in and says, you know what, I only want to do 3 days a week. How can we work with you? So we can actually put in concepts and use our other kitchen space in a very creative fashion and put somebody on the menu.
I feel like St. Pete's the perfect spot for a pop-up, like a week.
Yeah.
Right.
It's something that
Right.
would cause a big pop.
Yeah, I mean, there's even the current restaurants that are here, if they ever want to expand their menu or even try a new concept, it's limiting for them because they are running a restaurant right now. We saw that during COVID, where a lot of restaurants that weren't doing pickup and Uber Eats and all of that stuff, they changed over to that. Well, it stuck around. So it's now getting to the point where we've talked with a lot of people that it's competing with the ongoing business that they have in the restaurant, which then can affect their service. So this is an opportunity for somebody who already has an existing restaurant. If they want to do their delivery out of our space, it alleviates that from being a burden in their restaurant. Now their restaurant can grow, and they can continue to grow the Uber Eats and DoorDash delivery part of their business. Or if they just want to try that new concept, this gives them the out to come in and say, hey, I'm going to sign up for 12 months, and I'm going to try 3 or 4 different concepts during that time and see what works before I go and open up another restaurant.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, freeze that up. and the traffic coming in and out for those things.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's a,
It's all digital, so you're not changing a sign and you're
Right.
not printing new cards. It's just your digital footprint, in a space like that.
right. And your Uber Eats driver doesn't care where he goes to pick up the food.
No,
Yeah,
they
exactly.
do not.
Yeah, and you don't know you just want the end product.
Right.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, the whole Uber Eats thing is interesting for the restaurant world, I'm sure. Like that whole, just dealing with those orders coming in, and it changes up the game a little bit for the experience. Because
Right.
how do you keep the food from getting soggy and all?
They have that down pat. And
Yeah.
they, it just depends on the drivers how quickly they pick it up, and
Yeah.
that's their lane.
yeah, yeah.
We let 'em stay in that
yeah,
lane.
Yeah, that's not for you guys to figure out. So, what has you the most excited? What are you most excited about when you think of Foodie Labs?
What's to come?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're in our first 6 months, so obviously, we mentor people who are in their first 6 months. We're still in our first 6 months too, and so we have lessons to learn along the way, and refining our process as well. And I think just like anything else, it's just looking at the next steps coming forward.
It will be a cool moment when one of your concepts comes out of you and then opens their own.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
brick and
absolutely.
mortar.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
That'll be a big celebration.
Absolutely.
Of success.
Oh, yeah.
That's really, really cool. So, what do you think St. Pete is missing in terms of the food scene?
It's growing on all
Yeah.
the edges. I mean, yeah, there are certain cuisines that are missing, but I'm excited about the fact that we see a whole bunch of creative young chefs coming into town and making a difference. I mean, that's fun. I mean, there are more places to go and try. See that all the time. I'd like to personally see more Southeast Asian food, just because I'm fascinated with it personally. But being an Italian American, I want to see all the different regions of Italy covered. Like I said, Sicilian would be fun.
Yeah.
More food that really focuses on what the locals eat in those countries.
What do you think, Kristin?
I agree with that.
I know it's
He
a tough.
said it, yeah, I don't know.
It's a tough question. It's
I
a
mean,
tough
yeah,
question.
it's hard to answer that question without putting your full influence of what you like,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, that's- that
there's
is the
such a
point.
good
It's-
variety,
yeah.
but I mean, I am a creature of habit. I do like to expand a little bit and go out and try different things, but there's certain places that are
Yeah. What I love what you guys are doing is that it promotes entrepreneurship, which is the community of St. Pete and small business owners. And I'm a little nervous because some franchises are starting to move in on Central,
Of
Yeah.
course.
I
and
saw that.
and
It messes up the grid.
it just makes me nervous because
yeah.
it's going to increase rents and this, and I mean
Oh.
everything's a
Yeah.
money game. You can't deny that, but there's something special about being able to walk into your restaurant and the owner, you know
Right.
that they know you. It just we have that hometown feel, and then
Your support's different that
yeah,
way.
and growth is inevitable. And I'm just, how do we keep the hometown feel while that still happens?
Well,
Yeah.
We talked a little bit before we're on mic about Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting city because it does have the franchises. I mean, there are all the fancy steak places that are run by the corporate types.
Yep.
But then there are little holes in the wall that people gravitate to. And I kind of see St. Pete moving in that direction that, there's always going to be, a big name steakhouse that people will go to, which is fine. But there'll also be the little local places that people will say, oh, that's really cool.
It's
Let me
true.
try that.
It's true. I think my initial thought was the difference between a city like Philadelphia and St. Pete is like Philly is such a bigger grid in terms of the
Yeah.
streets, where right now in terms of walkability, there's really
Downtown.
it's
Well,
central downtown.
Yeah, and some
corridor,
of those
right?
mom and pops are going a little bit outside of downtown.
Right, and I'd
now,
rather see the
but-
franchises go out there.
Yeah, I agree.
You go out there because people will come because they know you. Whereas
Yeah.
like that central just needs to stay local. So when
Yeah.
you're walking down the street, you can
I
pop in
agree.
and out, and it just has
Totally
that cozier
agree.
vibe. And we have the melting pots coming back
We
on
were just
Central,
talking about that this
Yeah.
morning.
which I don't really know how I feel about it. I know it used to be on Fourth. I'm indifferent, right? To me, I'm not. Yeah, you might know the general manager when you walk in there, but you don't.
Right.
It's a chain.
Yeah.
It's gonna be nice. 2 stories.
Yeah.
Sweet Green showing up.
Yes. Yes.
It's good, but you're not going to know the owner. So I don't know. These things, there's a little turbulence
Yes.
inside me.
I get it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
get it.
yeah. But it's inevitable. So we'll see what happens. So I'm really excited to see when your guys' concepts come out and open a spot.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So you've been in St. Pete, you said, since you were
was
8 years
Mhm.
old. How have you? What have you witnessed over the growth, especially in these last 5 years? Like you said, the food scene wasn't here. When did you notice that there's a food scene in St. Pete?
I think the last 5 years is when it's really pumped up. I mean, that's, just the last 5 years. It was always there. I mean, there was always unique little places that were like locals knew. But I think for it to become a destination, and I think really hearing a lot of people over in Tampa when I was at my business there talk about St. Pete, it wasn't a destination. Like, why would we go over there? That was just the Tampa mentality, But now they are, and there's Tampa concepts that are coming over here. So that speaks volumes as well. I don't know how I feel about that. I like to keep St. Pete,
right.
but it does. Yeah, there's growth there, and I think that's great for everybody involved. But I do agree with you. I like to see the corporate stuff out on the outskirts.
Right. Yes.
For sure.
Yes. How long have you been in the area?
14 years.
Okay.
Moved from the Northeast
Yes, yep.
down here. Got sick of the weather, the traffic, the taxes. Typical story.
Yep.
And we love it here. Yeah, we made it our home, and it's a
Yes.
great place for our kids to come to.
Yes, yes. People want to visit you here. It's easier.
Exactly.
I tell people, be careful when you come visit because it's going to give you a big warm hug and you're not going to want to leave.
Exactly.
Yeah, St. Pete's
true.
incredibly special when it comes to that. So, this is aside from the concepts that are at Foodie Labs. It's your birthday, and we're bound to St. Pete. Jim, where are we going to eat?
Uh-oh. It's like asking who's my favorite child. I mean, I really like Il Ritorno. I've gone there several times. Trying to think of where else we go to a lot. We love to go to brunch. So it's funny.
Where's the good brunch spot, Jim?
So
where are we going?
our favorite, all-time favorite, is our neighbor right across the Pinellas Trail is Urban Stillhouse.
Yeah.
They are just fabulous, and that's a top-rate chef there.
Okay.
Yes,
Good,
no doubt
good.
about that.
Yeah.
So those probably are the two go-tos
I like it.
for me.
I like it. I like
Yeah.
it. Those are good ones.
Yeah.
Kristen, what do you think?
I've got 3.
Oh.
So Urban Stillhouse, top number 1. Lolita's, which is actually our neighbor as well.
Nice.
That's the happy hour and small plates. And if I'm going outside of this area a little bit, for a good steak is Bo and Mo's. Yeah, those are my 3
I knew
favorite.
you'd say Bo.
Yeah. Those are my 3
yeah,
favorites.
no, those are good. Those are all great staples here in the area. And you're the first one to say Bo Mo's on the show,
Yeah.
I think.
Love
yeah,
Bo
yeah.
Mo's.
Interesting.
If
They've
my
been
memory
around for
serves
a
me right,
while.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
apologize for all the other great restaurants that we
No,
go to.
no,
in
there
the
are,
area,
but that's what comes to mind.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what's
Yeah.
personal to you. There's so many, but you can't select
Yeah,
them all.
exactly.
Yeah. And everyone likes different cuisine or what they're into. And mine probably changes on the week. Like I have mine, but it probably changes depending on my mood.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why we have to have a diverse food scene, so that you go from, hey, I feel like soup today, to, nah, it's too warm for soup.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the weather has changed recently for us, for sure. Aside from food, do you think there's anything else that St. Pete is missing or that you're excited about in terms of the growth? Like,
Can't think of everything on the top of my head. I mean,
I'm hoping that we get a little bit more focused on the small business in St. Pete. I mean, I think we've had this growth and it's great, and we have a lot of growth that's coming from out of state coming into St. Pete. But there are some small programs through the city, but I think there needs to be more. There needs to be definitely more focus on the money that we have coming in, to take some of that aside and really focus not just on small business for certain sectors, but like small business in general for everyone that's local. And I think there can be some pretty cool programs. I mean, we've partnered up with St. Pete College. I'm on the board at Northeast High School, P-Tech, and then now St. Pete College with a course over the summer that we're actually pushing off to the fall. But there's things that we're doing that I think that the city itself can actually jump in on, to where it will feed a lot of really good businesses if it's done right, and it'll keep that local feel happening.
Yeah, and I think on the finance side, I would like to see a better infrastructure for community lending. Often what will happen is a young food entrepreneur comes in, and after we show them what the needs are, not only do you have to have a little bit of money for your inventory and to pay our rent, but you also should be able to have at least 3 months of living expenses. So finding that smaller amount of loan is hard, and I saw a lot of it in the Northeast. I haven't seen much of it down here in Florida. So community lending would be fantastic if somebody would develop that infrastructure here.
I love both your answers because I agree big time because I'm being an entrepreneur myself, and in that community, it's easy to go get a loan for school.
Sure.
Yeah.
That throws you into debt. But it's harder to get a loan for a business concept. But there's
Right.
so many lessons in learning in
Well,
that. And if you're part of a
it
program,
seems like it's easy to get one to open a brick and mortar, which is
Yeah.
crazy because you're going to lend it before they actually have the knowledge and everything
Right.
that they
Yeah.
need to go into it. So, like I said before, I think that our ultimate goal is to turn out a better tenant for St. Pete. So if they're with us, then they're looking for someone to find them a place, and we can actually be that person that says, yeah, they were with us for 2 years, and these were their numbers, and paid rent on time each month, and they've gone through the course of this, that will now they understand what they're stepping into.
yeah,
So true.
A stamp of approval.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's something there. There's
And
definitely something there.
they've proven their concept to the point where they have a good following. you
And a
know.
brand,
Yeah, and a
right?
brand. Yeah,
Yeah,
brand recognition.
Definitely. Do you guys read? Listen?
All the time. I
Emails
read.
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no.
I'm thinking of what if
Yeah.
for any restaurant entrepreneur, chef thinking about getting into the space, what's something that you could provide them to sharpen their skills?
So my favorite book is by Terry Gloss, and it's called The Last Word on Power, which isn't what you think it is. It's a very clever take on coaching and mentorship, and I recommend that to anybody. I think I've read the book at least twice, maybe 3 times. And then the kind of the old school, which is the Art of War. I mean, it's remarkably timely, and even though it was written 2,000 years ago, it's an amazing book.
Yeah. Great recommendation.
I am drawing a blank right now, but I will tell you one of my books that I have shared with a lot of clients in Tampa is called Profit First, and it's not just driven profit first, but it actually tells you how to divvy up things as you're in a small business so that you're paying yourself something. It's kind of like the envelope system, so that you're not overwhelmed in the process of how things get paid. It teaches a lot.
Yeah, no, it's great. I think there's so many resources out there, and people can get overwhelmed with I don't know where to
Right.
start. And so
Exactly.
you guys being in the space, it's always good to know what.
Yeah, and
what-
for us, they're paying one fee, and that encompasses everything. So it's all included. So we want to make sure that they understand that when they step out of that space, they might find something that's the exact same amount of rent into a brick and mortar, but now they need to add in the utilities. The electric.
Yeah, so why don't you go through that a little bit? So I come to you. We agree that yes, we want to work together, and I say, what are you going to provide to me?
Yeah, so they basically step into the space with their concept, and all their utilities are provided, all the equipment is provided, and they step in with their small wares and their food. So that's a great thing, but like I said, when they go into the next space, they need to understand that it's not just the rent. So you have all those things, and when things break, we have to fix them. ACs down, walk-ins down, any other refrigeration. Ovens, hoods, that's on us. And that is a huge cost.
Yes.
A huge
yes,
cost.
Yes.
And
That
finding
takes
people to work right now on repairs is not fun.
Yeah.
So that falls on our shoulders, but
Unfortunately, yeah.
that's part of the management of the kitchen. So we hope that what they see while they're in the kitchen is that hey, yep, this is not working so well. We have called somebody out, and it's going to take 2 days for them to get here, and that's reality right now. I'd like to go open up a couple of restaurant equipment repair businesses too right now.
Just because
yeah,
you need
because
it.
there's it's just a big need right now. So part of that is that they need to see that, and that is part of the reality of running a restaurant as well.
For sure. But what a neat thing that happens is that they can see that, but they can still focus on
Right.
their craft and
Right.
hone that in before adding in those extra layers. When
Absolutely.
opening a brick and mortar, you're taking it all on at once.
Right.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
And I think showing that, I think one of the most important things within our kitchen is showing them that we're not asking anybody in that kitchen to do anything that we're not willing to do. So we're in there mopping floors and cleaning bathrooms and,
Taking the garbage out.
doing whatever we need to
Right.
do to get through the startup process, and that's exactly what they should be doing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what about marketing? Are they doing all the marketing? Like, how are people finding, or is it like people know Foodie Labs and now they're coming in because they want to
It's a
have all that-
combination.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
combination
Yeah.
of both. We do have a full-time marketing person, and we help people to market. But it's very, very important that people take on that charge themselves.
It's their brand.
Yeah.
Their brand, that people
agree.
want to see the face of the business.
Right.
Again, I'll go back to Bagel Babe. I mean, what makes her immensely popular? She's on social media every day, and she's
Yep.
talking about something or doing a small little video. She really
Very engaged.
understands.
Yeah.
Yes, engage is a good way to put it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. I mean, you can create a community around your. That's what you want to do, right? Create a community around your brand, so that way people are following you no matter where you are, and all that social media it comes with a lot of good and the
Yes.
bad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So true.
yeah, yeah. Wow, I love this whole thing. What when you're not at Foodie Labs and you're hanging in St. Pete, what do you like to do besides eat?
Boat.
Boat.
Sleep.
100%.
Sleep.
Yeah.
Jim said, "I'm
No.
working hard, man."
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
If I'm not there, I want to be on the boat.
Yeah, yeah.
Egmont Key,
It's
anchored
that,
out.
It's
sitting.
that time.
Yep.
It's that time.
Yeah. Well,
relaxing.
I have a grandchild, so
Yep.
even
Family time.
spending time on on FaceTime with my grandchild is like incredibly inspirational. So as much time as I spend with Foodie Labs, and I love that, I like to spend time
Balance
with
with
my
family.
family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Family's important for
No,
me.
absolutely, absolutely. There's that you can't say that loud enough.
Yes.
you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, especially when you get into
Exactly.
the business world. 'Cause
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you find? I mean, I know in the restaurant space, it's huge. Of like the business is driving them versus them driving the business. Have you guys had to have any coaching around that?
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of people that are working in their business and not on their business, and that is probably the biggest thing that's going to get in their way. If they don't take the time, and for us too. I mean that's a big thing for us to
I think it's all of us,
realign
yeah.
very much on that we need to take that time to step out and from the day-to-day stuff that happens, and look at the business like, okay, what's working and what's not, and how fast are we going to change this? So that's something that we have to look at every single month,
Yeah. Zoom out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that you guys are mopping floors and doing all that, but at the
Yeah.
same time, right? You gotta.
Well,
you gotta
it's funny,
focus on the most important parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, my younger son is my operations manager in Tampa, and that was one thing that when he stepped in, there were conversations of like, who did this before? And I was like, I did, And so it's, I got a fresh perspective of him coming in, so I loved that, and he has a lot of great energy and looks at things very different ways than I did. So I get a fresh perspective on that, and I think that we try to do the same thing in St. Pete.
Yeah,
Lead by example.
Yeah.
yeah, as any great leader does, right?
Yep.
I just heard a lot. I do it, we do it, you do it,
Right.
right? in that order. Yeah, it makes it really, really special. So how do people find Foodie Labs? How do they sign up to become a concept?
So they can go to our website, foodielabs.com, and or any of the social media to reach out to us. We're in the warehouse district, right behind Urban Stillhouse on the trail, and they can stop in, take a tour, and just kind of go from there. I mean, even if they're not wanting to sign up, we're happy to talk to anybody. If it's something that's in their future 2 or 3 years down the road, they need to get the information now and start planning. So we're happy to give that mentorship to people who aren't necessarily even coming in yet, so that they have it to start with.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the address is 515 22nd Street South.
There it is. Go
There you go.
check out all the 7 concepts for lunch, dinner. Are you guys open?
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Yeah.
I'm hungry right now. I want all this food. And I can't believe you can't hear my stomach growling. Awesome. If people are still with us, what's one word that they should comment below?
Oh, awesome.
Awesome. Comment awesome if you're still with us. Check these guys out. Kristin and Jim, thank you so much for being here. Go see Foodie Labs. Have a meal. Get a bagel. Have lunch, dinner, all the good stuff. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Love that.
Cheers.
Cheers. That was good.
Thank you.
Yes.